It started quietly. No crash, no dramatic collapse, just the slow erosion of energy that so many mistake for aging. Mornings felt heavy. Coffee became less an indulgence and more a survival tool. Meals brought short bursts of focus followed by fog, a tide of exhaustion that rolled in right when productivity should have been highest. I was training, eating clean, counting calories, yet my body seemed to resist every effort. The scale barely moved, but my patience did, steadily downward. Most people would call it burnout. I called it confusion, because I was doing everything right, or so I thought. That was before I learned that weight loss isn't simply about the number of calories consumed or burned, but about the hidden rhythm beneath it all: blood sugar. I had read about glucose spikes and insulin, but they seemed like distant clinical ideas reserved for people with diabetes. I never considered that those tiny fluctuations, rises and falls invisible to the naked eye, could dictate how energetic, focused, or hungry I felt, or how persistently my body held on to fat. It began with curiosity, almost accidental. One day, while researching metabolism for a client, I stumbled upon the concept of glucose variability. How much your blood sugar swings up and down throughout the day. Researchers called it the metabolic roller coaster, and those who wrote it often felt exactly like I did: wired, then drained; hopeful, then frustrated. They struggled to lose weight despite discipline. They crashed after lunch, even with balanced meals. It wasn't weakness, it was biology. The science was sobering. When blood sugar spikes too high after a meal, the body releases insulin to shuttle glucose into cells. But insulin is also a storage hormone. It tells the body, store fat, stop burning it, save energy for later. And when that sugar rush fades, insulin lingers, keeping fat locked away even as hunger returns. The result is a cycle of craving, fatigue, and metabolic stagnation. That cycle was my life. At first, I treated it like trivia. But the more I read, the more I realized how universal it was. Even people who didn't have diabetes could live in a constant state of glucose instability, what scientists now call metabolic inflexibility. And that instability drives not just weight gain, but inflammation, mood swings, hormonal imbalances, even poor sleep. The thread connecting them all was blood sugar control. So I decided to run an experiment on myself. For 7 days, I would wear a continuous glucose monitor, a small disc on the back of my arm that tracked every rise and fall. I wanted to see how my healthy habits actually looked under the surface. The first morning, I fasted for 12 hours, had black coffee, then my usual breakfast, a bowl of oatmeal with banana and honey. Within minutes, the monitor beeped. My blood sugar shot up like fireworks, then crashed an hour later. I felt it before I saw it. The dip in focus, the sudden irritation, the quiet need for another coffee. The data confirmed it. My clean breakfast was sabotaging my energy before the day even began. Meal after meal, the patterns emerged. The instant oats, the granola bar between clients, the occasional smoothie with mango and almond milk, each looked wholesome on the surface, yet beneath that veneer, they triggered sharp glucose surges. Even so-called healthy carbs behaved unpredictably when eaten alone. I wasn't broken, I was misinformed. But what truly stunned me wasn't the spikes themselves. It was how small adjustments changed everything. The first time I ate eggs and avocado before the oatmeal, the spike flattened dramatically. The same food in a different order produced an entirely different response. When I took a brisk 10-minute walk after lunch, the usual crash never came. My muscles, I learned, were quietly burning glucose, reducing the excess before it could flood my bloodstream. These weren't monumental changes, they were subtle shifts in rhythm. Yet they rewrote my physiology in real time. The scientist in me wanted explanations. Why did eating protein first matter so much? Why did walking after meals have such a profound effect? The answers led me deeper into the language of hormones. Protein stimulates glucagon, which balances insulin's storage effect. Movement opens the muscle cells' doors, letting glucose enter without needing as much insulin. Both help keep blood sugar steady. Stability, not deprivation, was the real key to fat loss. As the days went on, I realized this wasn't just about food or numbers. It was about reclaiming consistency, physically and emotionally. For years, I had blamed my willpower for every lapse. In truth, my body had been riding a biochemical seesaw that no amount of discipline could fix. Each crash had a cause, and each cause could be changed. By the end of the first week, my energy curve had softened. No more post-lunch haze. Cravings quieted. I started sleeping deeper. Even my morning mood shifted. Less wired, more centered. My weight hadn't changed dramatically yet, but something subtler had. My metabolism felt cooperative, not combative. I was working with it, not against it. And that's when the realization hit me. This isn't a diet trick. It's a biological reset. A process of teaching the body to trust that energy is available, that it doesn't need to hoard or crave. Stabilizing blood sugar is less about control and more about harmony between what we eat, how we move, and how we rest. The deeper I went, the more I saw how this one principle echoed across countless studies. Scientists measuring insulin sensitivity found that when glucose spikes are minimized, fat oxidation increases. In plain terms, the steadier your blood sugar, the more efficiently your body burns fat for fuel. It was never just about cutting calories. It was about stabilizing the hormonal environment that determines what those calories do once inside you. Weight loss wasn't the goal anymore. Equilibrium was. But to sustain it, I needed to understand what disrupted it, and that led me into the hidden architecture of modern life. Stress, sleep deprivation, ultra-processed foods, and constant snacking, each in its own way kept my insulin slightly elevated, locking me out of the metabolic flexibility I was trying to rebuild. Every late-night email, every sweetened coffee, every rushed meal, it all fed the same system of instability. The question became, how do we live in a world built on spikes, yet stay steady within it? The answer, I learned, wasn't about perfection. It was about rhythm. Because glucose isn't the enemy, chaos is. The body was never designed for constant bombardment. It was built to rise and fall gently, to have moments of nourishment, followed by moments of rest. We've simply forgotten the music our metabolism was meant to play. The first note of that rhythm began with awareness. Each meal, each snack, each sip of something sweet was a signal to my bloodstream, a nudge in one direction or another. I began to notice the difference between fullness and satisfaction, between true hunger and habit. Instead of obsessing over what I couldn't eat, I began shaping how I ate. I learned to build meals like slow-release energy systems, protein first to anchor, fiber to steady, fat to sustain, and carbs to complete. When I got that order right, my body responded like an orchestra finely tuned. The science supported the shift. When protein and fat enter the stomach before carbohydrates, they slow gastric emptying, meaning glucose trickles into the bloodstream gradually rather than flooding it. The pancreas, sensing a gentler curve, releases less insulin. Less insulin means more fat mobilization, less storage, and fewer energy crashes later. It's not magic, it's physiology, but understanding the process is one thing, living it is another. Modern life tempts us with speed. Breakfast becomes an afterthought, lunch a meeting, dinner a convenience. We eat quickly, distracted, under artificial light, with stress hormones already spiking before the first bite. I started to realize that stabilizing blood sugar wasn't just about the what or how much. It was about the state we eat in. Because cortisol, the stress hormone, can raise glucose levels even without food. I had been feeding stress as much as I'd been feeding hunger, so I began small. I slowed down. No phones during meals. A few deep breaths before eating. a simple cue to shift my body from fight or flight into rest and digest. Within days, I noticed digestion improving, that subtle tension in my chest easing. The numbers on my glucose monitor reflected it. Smaller peaks, smoother returns to baseline. Even my cravings began to change. I wasn't chasing sugar anymore. I was stabilizing naturally, almost unconsciously. This experience taught me something profound. Blood sugar isn't just chemistry. It's communication. Each rise and fall is your body's way of speaking, telling you when it's under threat, when it needs fuel, when it's finally at peace. For years, I had ignored that conversation. Now I was listening. The weight began to shift, slowly but steadily. More importantly, so did my shape, not just physically, but mentally. My self-criticism softened. I started to understand that the frustration so many feel around weight loss doesn't come from weakness, but from working against the body's natural tempo. When you align with it, change becomes less of a battle and more of a release. Fat isn't burned in punishment. It's let go as stability returns. Still, part of me wanted proof beyond my own journey. So I looked outward, into the growing field of metabolic research. One study after another confirmed what I was living. Stable blood sugar improves mitochondrial function, the tiny engines inside our cells that determine how much energy we can produce. In one trial, people who maintained flatter glucose curves reported higher daytime energy, fewer food cravings, and improved focus, even when calorie intake was the same. In another, participants who ate a high-protein breakfast burned more fat throughout the day than those who ate mostly carbs, despite identical total calories. Science, emotion, and experience all converged on the same truth. Balance, not restriction, transforms metabolism. I began coaching others using these principles, watching similar patterns unfold. People who had battled exhaustion and stubborn weight for years found relief not from cutting carbs entirely, but from timing and pairing them differently. A middle-aged client discovered that eating her fruit after lunch instead of before eliminated her 3 p.m. crash. Another learned that a 10-minute walk after dinner not only steadied her glucose, but improved her sleep. Small changes, big consequences. It felt revolutionary because it was simple, yet there was one piece still missing: sleep. On nights when I stayed up late working, my glucose the next morning ran higher, even without food. Research later explained why. Sleep deprivation increases cortisol and decreases insulin sensitivity, meaning the same breakfast would spike me higher on less rest. It was humbling to realize how interconnected everything was. My metabolism wasn't just reacting to what I ate, it was responding to how I lived. I began to treat recovery as seriously as nutrition. Dark room, consistent bedtime, cooler air, no late scrolling. Within a week, my fasting glucose dropped. Within 2, I felt a quiet strength returning, the kind that doesn't roar but sustains, the kind that lets you wake up before your alarm, clear and steady. The further I went, the more I saw that stabilizing blood sugar isn't about micromanaging numbers. It's about restoring trust between you and your body. Trust that when you eat, energy will come, that when you rest, your body will repair, that you don't need constant stimulation to stay awake or constant deprivation to stay lean. It's about exiting the cycle of overcorrection, the pendulum of indulgence and guilt, and stepping into a rhythm that supports you instead of punishing you. In time, even my relationship with movement evolved. Exercise stopped being a tool to burn off mistakes and became a way to express balance. Lifting weights, walking, yoga, all became opportunities to fine-tune that glucose rhythm. Muscles, I learned, act like glucose sponges. The more we use them, the more insulin sensitive they become. Strength training, especially, increases the body's ability to handle carbohydrates without dramatic spikes. That's why the most metabolically healthy people aren't necessarily the leanest. They're the ones who move consistently, even modestly. There's something beautiful about that simplicity. It means that each of us, regardless of age or genetics, can rebuild flexibility from the inside out. The body is forgiving, astonishingly so, if we give it the right signals long enough. Still, one question haunted me. If this knowledge is so accessible, why are so few people living by it? The answer, I realized, lies not in science, but in culture. We've built a world that celebrates stimulation over steadiness, convenience over connection. We eat in cars, snack through meetings, trade sleep for productivity, and mistake exhaustion for normalcy. The result is a silent epidemic of instability. Not disease in the clinical sense, but dysfunction. Slow, creeping, familiar, and yet, just beneath that noise, the solution remains elegantly simple. Slow down, stabilize, listen. Because when you do, the body begins to remember. It recalibrates, the fog lifts, energy evens out, hunger quiets, and gradually, weight loss becomes not an achievement, but a side effect of alignment. There's a moment, subtle, almost imperceptible, when transformation shifts from effort to instinct. For me, it happened one ordinary morning. I woke up before the sun without an alarm and realized something was different. My head was clear. My breath was deep. My body felt light, not just in weight, but in ease. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and stepped outside. The air was cool, the world quiet. The same body that once felt like an enemy now felt like an ally. I wasn't chasing control anymore. I was moving in harmony with something ancient, something designed to keep me alive and vibrant. My metabolism, once erratic, tired, confused, was now steady. It was like hearing music I'd forgotten I knew. That morning, I didn't measure my glucose. I didn't need to. I could feel it, the steadiness, the calm. It was no longer about the data. It was about the rhythm of trust restored. That's when it struck me. Stabilizing blood sugar isn't just a physical victory. It's emotional freedom. Because the highs and lows we chase with food often mirror the highs and lows we live with emotionally. The spikes aren't just chemical. They're symbolic of the chaos we accept as normal. We eat fast because we live fast. We crash because we're stretched thin. We crave sugar because we crave comfort, clarity, rest, and when glucose stabilizes, the entire system, mind, body, emotion, begins to steady in response. As energy balanced, so did everything else. My thoughts became cleaner. My focus sharpened. I stopped needing caffeine to wake up or snacks to stay alert. The day no longer felt like a fight for energy. It became a flow of it. Food wasn't a trigger anymore. It was fuel. Exercise wasn't punishment. It was celebration. And in that stability, a deeper clarity emerged. This isn't just about blood sugar. It's about remembering how to live in balance again. When you stabilize your glucose, you stabilize your hormones. When hormones stabilize, your moods follow. When your moods stabilize, your decisions improve. And when your decisions improve, your life transforms. That's the true cascade of health. Not a sudden fix, but a sequence of steady returns to alignment. But transformation doesn't announce itself. It unfolds quietly in the moments you choose presence over distraction, patience over panic. It happens when you choose breakfast over skipping, walking over scrolling, rest over pushing through. It's the compounding power of small stability, and it's available to everyone, regardless of age, genetics, or history. Because your metabolism isn't broken. It's just tired of the noise. Once you learn to listen, to slow the spikes, to ease the crashes, something miraculous happens. Your body begins to trust you again. Hunger becomes gentle. Energy becomes predictable. The panic around food disappears. And weight loss? It comes naturally, like a tide returning to shore. No extremes, no guilt, just rhythm. There's one image that always stays with me. one that captures this transformation better than any chart or study. It's the image of a river. When a river flows too fast, it erodes the banks, destroying what sustains it. When it's blocked, it stagnates, breeding decay. But when it flows steadily, nourished by both motion and rest, it shapes valleys, feeds forests, and sustains life. That's your metabolism, meant to flow, not flood, to move with grace, not panic. And when we learn to guide it, with food, with rest, with intention, everything downstream flourishes. So many of us live believing we need to fight our bodies to become healthy. But health isn't a war, it's a reunion. The act of returning to rhythm, to stillness, to the intelligence already woven into every cell. You don't need to control your blood sugar, you need to cooperate with it. The body already knows what to do. It just needs the noise to quiet long enough to remember. I've seen it happen again and again. In clinics, in research, in real lives. People who thought their energy, focus, or metabolism were gone for good find themselves coming back to life simply by stabilizing glucose. They don't just lose weight, they lose chaos. They lose the fear that something's broken beyond repair. And in its place, a calm, glowing steadiness. That steadiness becomes your baseline, your new normal. It's the light behind your eyes, the calm beneath your pulse, the certainty that you can handle whatever comes next. Because stability, metabolic or emotional, is freedom. It's freedom from cravings that control you. Freedom from energy crashes that steal your days. Freedom from the endless loop of guilt and overcorrection. Freedom to live fully with focus, vitality, and peace. So, if you take one thing from this, let it be this truth. You don't have to chase control to change your body. You just have to restore its rhythm. Stabilizing your blood sugar isn't about restriction. It's about remembering the balance you were built for. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. And when you align your life with that rhythm, your biology, your energy, your mind, everything else falls naturally into place. Because the goal was never just to lose weight. It was to lose the chaos, to live steady, clear, empowered, to wake up, finally, in sync with your own design. And that is the true power of blood sugar stability, not just in your metabolism, but in your life.